Welcome everyone. We're once again coming to you live from the My Trans and Life studios. We've had a very busy weekend, which we'll tell you about, and discuss yet another of the topics submitted by GenderBlenders for week 184.
Yes.
Those questions: masculine trans women and feminine trans men. What's your take? As well as, how do you think the community views these contradictions? You know, as usual, we had a busy week since our last video.
Yeah, I mean, we sure did. It seems like we always have something going on, from visiting new places, shopping and meeting new friends in Hillcrest, and exploring forever changing and wonderful adventures and journeys through Balboa Park. And oh yeah, that's right, I forgot about this. I also know someone who also had her natural birthday this past weekend, as well as celebrating it, right? Isn't that right, sis?
Yeah, that was a very interesting birthday. That little birthday party you gave me.
Oh, it was kind of a surprise, amongst other things. Oh, I tried to get all the candles and stuff on a little cupcake, but there just wasn't enough room for all 33 of them. At least it was 33 of them. Again, wait a minute. That was the same thing last year. Well, that's how old she told me she was again this year, so.
She buys it.
You too.
I keep telling her
Yeah.
I'm 33.
And I keep falling for it every year, so.
Well, if we had enough candles to put on the cupcake for my supposed real age, I think we would have the fire department out here.
Huh? That's possible. Sometimes I think we need to.
But that's, no, actually there's 2 birthdays that I celebrate. And this was my natural birthday.
Right.
Yeah. And I also celebrate another birthday in October.
Which is when you were corrected.
And that's when I was corrected.
Yes.
And that's my real birthday because
Yep.
because that's when I became, as you said, corrected, and therefore was able to really be myself.
That's true. Yes.
So I consider that a nice birthday too. So that makes it nice. I get twice as many presents in a year because I get to celebrate 2 birthdays. That's kind of cool.
So.
But this birthday celebration that you gave me this year, sis, oh, first of all, everyone, the best birthday present that I have is my dear sis moving out here. That was just truly wonderful. That's the best birthday present I could ever have.
Yeah, I feel the same.
But, oh goodness, oh, did we do a lot of things. We had the birthday for the entire weekend.
Yeah,
So
we did.
we went
And by the way, happy birthday again. So we're still celebrating.
But we went and saw, we went to a nice little link meeting up here on Friday night with some of our friends. So we got to meet some new friends up there as well.
And we had people who noticed us and recognized us from our videos and stuff like that as well.
We
people
did.
Came over and
That
shook
was
our
cool.
hands and introduced themselves. So that was kind of an amazing thing. And as well as other people who just flock around us all the time, wanting to talk and all the rest of that stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of open people here, which is really, really nice of them that they do that, because it really makes you feel like you are warm and welcome.
Oh, exactly.
So that's always nice too. You know, the one thing that we've been saying though that we really need to do though is that we need to have a time or a place where all of us can get together as transsexuals and meet with each other, and some kind of a gathering that we can all afford to be able to go to. That would be so nice to be able to do that, especially in this local area. Yeah. So I know we're talking about starting some other groups and starting up a transsexual group in St. Marcos as well. And that would be nice if we can get that going. So.
Yeah. So, but that was just the start of my birthday.
Yeah.
And then Saturday night we went out to Rincon.
Yeah.
And
To the buffet.
To the buffet out there with with
That was
our
nice.
friends Tara and Juliana,
Yeah.
and that was lovely. That was some pretty
That was
nice
fun.
food
Yes,
out
pretty
there,
good
yeah.
food. Yeah, they did.
But so
We had a
had
live band playing
Oh
there.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was great.
Because it was kind of mixed in, because where you were sitting, we were hearing the music, and we were also hearing the vending, or
Yeah.
the slot machines, and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and all that music they had going on. That made time for things a little bit difficult and transiting. But all in all, we had a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
There was never any negative moments, so on and so
No.
forth. And then, of course, when we went out to Balboa Park,
Yeah.
they also had a couple of Christian communities who were also set up out there, and we actually took the time to sit and have a short discussion with them,
Yeah.
and told them a little bit more about ourselves and everything else. And I think that they actually learned
They
something,
kind of learned
because they learned, that hey,
They
that's
kind
the
of
person-
got it. Yeah.
we're here, we're natural.
Mhm.
It's not something. It's something that we were born with, and it's not
Exactly.
something that. So before, when we would walk by them and everything else, they kind of like turn their heads and never wave. But after we sat and had some discussions and stuff with them, we went out and did some more exploring and everything
Yeah.
else. And as we walked back by them, we would wave, and they'd turn and they'd
We
wave
way
back.
back.
you
That
know.
was kind of cool.
So it really takes you some time and effort.
Yeah.
But if you spend the time with them and talk to them on their own grounds, a lot of times you find that they are more accepting of you.
Yeah. Let's talk about this week's topics
Okay.
and questions. So,
Okay.
what is your take regarding trans women, or masculine trans women, and conversely, feminine trans men? What do you think about that?
Yeah. A difficult one, but in transitioning, we all start our journeys toward correcting ourselves at different ages in life, as well as individually having to, various objectives, needs, and sequences that we accomplish first, and then second, and then third. And none of that is set in concrete as you have to do this first and do that first. Obviously, you have the legal documentation, as well as medical transitioning it again. And then if you're thinking about having any corrective surgeries, some people do that, depending upon where you begin in your transitions. Many of us find that we need more medical intervention than what others do, depending upon how early in life that they started their transitions. And there are significant differences between being transgendered or if you identify as a transsexual at various different levels. Some trans individuals carry over with them the learned characteristics of the opposite gender than that which they identify with, because they have had no development or no exposure to the opposite gender, or as far as how they should be acting and so on and so forth. That's where sometimes therapy or getting with other individuals to help them along the way helps out a great deal.
Yeah. So
But there are also many other variables
Yeah.
as far as transition is concerned. We have social fears that a lot of them go through, and that's why a lot of times they don't come out. We also have the medical intervention costs and stuff like that, which has to be taken into consideration, because a lot of them can't afford to have all that done. So, that's different things and stuff like that that you need to take into account when it comes to being, whether you are a masculine trans woman or you're a feminine trans man. A lot of that is just because of exposure and what you have known. Some of you feminine trans men have never had a brother to hang around with, and you are just trying to find your way so that you can be yourself and be a guy that you want to be. But you do, some of that is a lot of learned processes and exposure. You're exposing yourself. But it's hard to do when you're just part-time. A transsexual has a need to be themselves all the time, not just on the weekend.
Yep.
And I know that there are fears and stuff like that, but it's still something that needs to be considered. Transsexuals don't, the need for them to be themselves don't go away, as soon as the clock strikes 12 on midnight on Sunday, or as soon as they get home and are not, no longer at one of the local nightclubs.
Just as an amplification of what you said there is, one of the things when we were growing up, we really didn't have access to the things that a lot of the natural men and natural women have.
Okay, so then what are your views regarding these topics regarding masculine men, or masculine trans women and feminine trans men?
I think a lot of that might be they just simply don't know. It's like I say that kind of an amplification of what you were saying. We never were able to ask our parents, well, how do I put this makeup on? How do I do this?
Yeah.
We don't have the luxury of asking those kinds of questions, so we have to learn, in some sense, we have to really learn that later on. And therefore, maybe we don't appear as much feminine as others do.
Well,
And
there are some
maybe
people
we
in the
do.
there are some people in the transgender community who want to be feminine part-time, and that's all they want.
Yeah.
And
I'm
that,
not
and they
referring
might
to the
and they might
part-timers,
put
yeah.
some they might put some lipstick on and some mascara, but that's as far as they ever go. They never work on actually trying to make themselves look female.
Yeah,
But they're
that's-
always asking somebody, "How do I look?" Can you? I'm going,
That's something a little bit different. I think, you know,
yeah.
the
There's no
true-
need for them to do that.
The true transsexuals, I think there really is an honest-to-God need for us to be and
Yeah.
truly be ourselves
Right.
in our current
Well, that's
gender.
because we want to see ourselves.
Yeah.
Transsexuals don't see illusions. You know, when we look in the mirrors and stuff like that, we see, you know, any male characteristics that may have been caused due to the testosterone damage. You know, we just don't see illusions of ourselves, and we don't want someone to tell us, "Hey, you look great," when you just because they're trying to be your friend. You know, we want to know how we look. We want you to know that we are aware of ourselves and that we are very conscious about it, and we do think about that all the time, and because we want to be ourselves and we need to be ourselves, and without it, there is no life for us.
So what about the community? How do you think the community, do you think that really is, that the question's referring to the trans community, how it views itself that way? Or do you think it's society in general? Or do you think there's a mix in there?
Well, you know, I don't like to think that it's a part of the trans community. However, I do think that when you say trans community, you know, that includes both transsexuals and transgenders,
Yeah.
and on those two who are transgender who want to be considered to be transsexual. Whether or not, I mean, you always know because transsexuals have an experience like no other in life, and you know from just talking to someone whether they are transsexual or transgender, even though they may be telling you that they're transgender.
Yeah.
Or they may be telling you that they're transsexuals. You know by their experiences that they haven't had that transsexual experience. But in general, I think there's a great consensus amongst the social community and environment upon which we live that are very, very confused because we have some out there who are transgender, who are calling themselves transsexual, and or they're not sure what the differences and stuff are between being a transgendered person versus being an actual true transsexual, who that obviously is a precise condition from birth. So that's one of the things that we do is we try and educate people and educate the community, and including educating our religious communities as well. So, you know, there's always work to be done out there. Don't let that bother you. Do not allow that to put a darkness where there should be a light at the end of the tunnel, because life is worth living, and there are ways that you can accomplish anything.
Absolutely.
You know, I have known people who literally were living on Social Security who have transitioned and found the money and found a way of getting themselves corrected. All of us should be considerate of one another, because whether you are transgender or whether you're transsexual, we are all out here with a goal, and that goal is to love one another, to reach out and be each other's friends, and to give ourselves the support and social dignity that we all deserve for one another. So,
if you talk about the trans community, okay, and how it views itself as masculine women or feminine men, or you talk about society at large, you know, I think we are guilty to some extent of confusing society at large. You know, how many times have you and I gone out somewhere and somebody will come up to you or I, and say, "Are you a weekend warrior?"
Yeah, I know.
And, you know, it hurts. That does hurt.
It does, because there are so many weekend warriors out there.
Yeah.
And that does hurt the general public's view of us as transsexuals. So basically, that's what I have to say about that.
Sounds good. So, until next week, I'm Stephie.
And I'm Stephanie. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.